Good afternoon, you guys. Okay, so I'm all about teaching. I'm all about helping others become more self-empowered in their quests of personal growth, okay? And so one of the things that I do for my clients is I help you to figure out what your soul mission is for this lifetime, which includes the right kinds of actions to take that are in alignment with your soul purpose, your soul mission for this lifetime. And that also figures in the things that you're not supposed to be doing, okay? And these are things that aren't inherently bad, but if they're not in line with your purpose, which includes things that you need to walk away from past lives, then you could be creating negative karma for yourself and not even knowing it, okay? So let me give you an example. For me personally, and so first of all, in order to do this, to figure out what your soul purpose is for this lifetime, go look at your astrological chart. All right, go pull it up. Astro.com is what I personally use to look at my chart and to look at your chart if you've ever hired me. And you'll need your date of birth, your place of birth, and then your time of birth. Your time of birth is very important, okay? It needs to be spot on, not like a guesstimation, because if you are like 15 minutes off, it can throw your whole chart off, okay? So if you don't know what your time of birth is, like the exact time, look on your birth certificate. It might be there. For some states do actually list the time of birth on your birth certificate. Or if it's not on your birth certificate, you can actually go and request that information to be included along with your birth certificate. Like if you were to go get a new birth certificate, tell them that you also want to know the time that you were born, okay? Try that. Next in line would be something called a birth chart rectification, would get you closest to what you could get there. So anyway, so once you got your birth chart, you want to look up something called the North Node, okay? The North Node. And then once you know what your North Node is, you'll automatically know what your South Node is, because your South Node is going to be in the exact opposite sign, in the exact opposite house as the North Node, okay? So the North Node is going to tell you what your soul purpose is and what your soul mission is for this lifetime. It's going to give you clues into the kinds of actions that you should be taking that is going to create good karma for you, okay? Now your South Node is going to let you know, and it's going to clue you into a lot of your past life incarnations, like what you've done in the past. And that's going to clue you into some of the, like where your comfort zone is, all right? Let you know what actions you might be engaging in this lifetime that is actually causing you to experience bad karma, okay? It's going to clue you into what you need to be walking away from. And even though those things feel comfortable, that not doing those things anymore will actually bring you the changes that you want, okay? And so let me give you an example of what this means, because we're not talking about common sense stuff, okay? This is not that. For instance, personally, I have my North Node in Virgo in my second house, okay? So this means that my South Node is in Scorpio in my 8th house, okay? So what that is telling me is that in a lot of my past lifetimes, I have been reliant upon other people's resources. And when I mean other people's resources, I mean like, I traded my validation and I traded my freedom so that other people could support me financially, like so that I could have all of my basic needs met. Okay. And for whatever reason, in those lifetimes, it was okay. I was a monk in a past life. I was a high priestess in a past life. I was an Essene in a past life. And all of those lives meant that my needs, my basic needs were being met by other people, okay? And that fit in with whatever my purpose was in those lifetimes. But for this lifetime, that's no longer the case, right? And so at this lifetime, with North Node being in Virgo in my second house, I'm supposed to be 100% self-reliant for at least my basic needs. Not saying that it's not okay for me to partner up with people and stuff like that, but the theme for me in this lifetime is to become completely self-sufficient, meeting all of my basic needs on my own. Materialistic wise, right? And if you look at my chart, that's where not only is my North Node in Virgo in the second house, I've got Mars and Jupiter there as well. So it's heavily energetic. I'm heavily energetically supported to do that for myself, right? And so what this is saying is, now, for me, because of the way, my own soul growth, where my soul growth is at, for me to be overly reliant on other people's resources creates bad and negative karma for me in this lifetime. You might be completely different. Your North Node could be in, Scorpio in your 8th house, and your South Node could be in Virgo in your 2nd house, and we're completely flipped. That means in your life, in your previous lifetimes, you were self-reliant. You did not depend on other people's resources, specifically to gain power. And for this lifetime, if your North Node is in Scorpio in the 8th house, that would simply mean that you actually are meant to learn how to merge with other people. It's to stop relying so much on your own power, and then learn how to rely on other people's resources and rely on other people's power to get you to where you need to go. Do you see what I'm saying? So this isn't common sense stuff. Negative karma isn't necessarily all of the bad stuff that you do to other people. It's not just that. And so in order to really know and to get to know yourself on a soul level, especially if you're wanting to know where you're supposed to be going and what not to do, getting really, really familiarized with your North Node and then your South Node, okay? So when you think about astrology, and kind of help you keep it keep it in perspective, because there's 3 different things you're looking at. We already know what the North and the South Node is. North Node is soul purpose, soul mission, things to do to keep you karmically aligned with what you're supposed to be doing. South Node is things you want to walk away from, things you want to stop doing. That's easy, right? But then you also have, so you have the sign and then the house that it's in. And this is where things start to get a little bit tricky, okay? So when you look at the sign that it's in, you want to think about the things that that sign does, the things that that sign is known for. I like to think about, so like with, say your North Node is in Leo in the 11th house, okay? What you would basically be thinking about is, you're going to be doing Leo things in the 11th house, okay? So Leo things would be like leadership, creativity, doing things that you want to do. It would also have to do with, investments, gambles, things like that. And so we're talking about Leo things. But the 11th house, when you think about 11th house things are, humanity, hopes and wishes, doing things for the future, your circle of friends, success, freedom, things like that. Okay, so you're doing Leo things in the 11th house. All right. So if you think about the South Node, you want to stop doing those things. So if your South Node is in Aquarius in the 5th house, you want to think about you want to stop doing Aquarius things in the 5th house. Okay, so Aquarius things are it's funny because the Aquarius things are also very much in the 11th house. That's why I'm saying it's kind of an art to read this stuff. So to stop doing Aquarius things, which is like thinking outside the box, visionary type of stuff, what's new and what's different, things that are used in an unconventional way, right? You want to stop doing those things in the 5th house, which has to do with investments and gambles and love and creativity and fun and romance and making art and stuff like that and doing it dramatically, right? And so when you look at the North Node versus the South Node, you get a very good idea of what you're supposed to be doing and where, and then what you're not supposed to be doing and where, okay? So basically just figure out what your North Node is, and then what your South Node is. It may not be on your chart, but you can know what your South Node is because it's the exact opposite sign in the exact opposite house. And then go check out, do a Google, go do a Google search. There's also books about stuff like this, and get a really good idea. Get a notebook out because you're going to have to write some stuff down about what so when you look at the sign, look at all of the things and the actions and the ways of being that are affiliated with that sign, and then go look at the house, because that's what areas of life does that house represent, okay? Because you're going to be doing Leo things in the 11th house, okay? Or you're going to be doing Virgo things in the 2nd house, or wherever your placement is at. Just think about it like that, okay? And then in the South Node, you want to do the same thing, except you're going to stop doing, Aquarius things in the 5th house, okay? If you have any questions, just drop them below. I'll try and get to them as soon as I can. Thanks, you guys.